routine stretch for taking the odd car or two for a joyride. Fortunately for all concerned, it was 14 days as opposed to years. So it was over and done with in a flash. I'd love to have known what was going through Sophie's head when Mum mentioned it in what was now a very lovely luxury hotel. The word help, most probably. When I turned up, my old man was 18 and my mum was just 17 and a half. So they were obviously in a hurry to get little things like childbirth and going to prison out of the way. Who can blame them? Incidentally, when it comes to being in clink, I've actually got one up on my old man, as I've been there twice, although not in this country. Anyway, that's for a bit later. When he was young, Dad was Oxford's chief mod, which probably accounts for some of the bad behaviour, although not all of it. He had a Willys Jeep, a Minder, and at least one police car following him at all times. One night in those early days, he came home in an Aston Martin DB5. I was about 3 or 4 at the time, but I remember thinking, where the bloody hell did that come from? I never asked him. It was probably best not to. Apart from being a cross between the mod father and Norman Stanley Fletcher, and a pretty special guy, it has to be said, the most interesting and relevant fact I can tell you about my old man is that he holds the world record for being the very first person ever to write off an Austin Allegro, otherwise known as an Austin All Aggro. After a quick butcher's on the internet, it seems that the Allegro, which was a bloody awful car, was launched in October 1975. So that's when it would have happened. We were up in the northeast at that time and my old man was working in the car trade. The day it was launched, he decided to take one home for a laugh and ended up writing it off at the end of our road, up against a lamppost, I recall. How the hell do you write off an Allegro, for God's sake, unless you mean to? They only do about 40 miles an hour. So tickled was my old man at the prospect of being the first man to write off one of the worst cars of the 20th century that he actually did some research to try and find out if any others had gone on launch day. And as far as he could make out, they hadn't. Well done, Dad. I think the world owes you a favour for that one, ridding us of at least one of those godforsaken cars. Later on, after we'd moved down south, he worked in the City of London insurance market for a while, and one evening my mum received a telephone call from the British Transport Police, asking her to come and get him. "He's stuck in the luggage rack on the train and won't come down, Mrs. Plato," said the officer. "Stuck my foot," replied my mum. "He's pissed, isn't he?" "Well, he might be. We can't really tell from here. I'll be there in about half an hour." I wouldn't have liked to have been in my old man that night. I bet my mum had a few choice words for him when they got home. People often ask me if I'm related to the philosopher Plato, and my stock-in-trade answer is always, well, how the hell do I know? He was born in Greece, about 400 BC, for heaven's sake. I very much doubt it, though. After all, Plato was often described by historians as being a modest man who was quiet and studious, and that is pretty much the opposite of me. Then again, he was also supposed to have died in his bed while a beautiful young woman played the flute for him, so it could have gone either way, really. If only they'd had cars in ancient Greece. Had he written something off early doors, then it could well have been game on with regards to us being related. You don't hear of many Platos, so you never know. Because I'm an only child with 2 daughters, you'd be forgiven for assuming that one day our branch of the Plato family will die out. Well, think again. We're a resourceful bunch, we Platos, and despite coming close to extinction previously, we've always managed to cling on. Many years ago, my great-great-grandmother, Edna Plato, had a fling, so the rumours go, with an Australian soldier, and in 1914 gave birth to 2 boys, Raymond, my grandfather, and Ernest, who sadly died in his infancy. My great-grandfather was never to be seen again, presumably killed in action in World War I. No father was registered on the birth certificate, which meant the maternal name was passed down, Plato. So in tribute to my great-great-grandmother's efforts, the deal is that I will only pay for my daughter's wedding if they retain the Plato name, which is a cracking surname, let's face it. They obviously don't know that yet, but the contract's there, ready for them to sign. And I don't want any of that double-barrelled nonsense either. Until recently, my old man thought we were descended from Italians as opposed to Greeks. An old relative once told him that back in the day, Italian families used to change their surnames in order to give themselves a leg up on the social ladder. And according to this relative, that was why and where our branch of the Plato family had originated. I don't really subscribe to that, but it's a pretty cool tale.